Hello there, how you guys doing? Welcome back to Rule of Two Review. Today we're going to be talking about the Nintendo Switch, Zelda, and Mario. So we all know that in just a few weeks' time, about a month and a half, Nintendo is going to be finally giving us the full blowout reveal of the Nintendo Switch. Through that, the last couple of weeks has been really mired in a lot of rumors, a lot of talk, a lot of theorizing, some skepticism about what's going to happen with Nintendo Switch launch games. What is that launch period going to look like? What is that launch day going to look like? What's going to be happening with ports maybe from the Wii U? Are third parties going to be on board the way that we want them? All these different things. It's all very exciting. There's a lot of things that could happen that could be great, a lot of things that could happen that could be disappointing, but at the end of the day, when we have all of this new exciting stuff to look forward to, it's exciting. I think. It makes me excited. I love having new hardware. I love new console launches, especially when it's Nintendo, and I think the Switch looks great. But of course you guys know this and you've heard this from me a million times ever since the Switch has been revealed. But what I wanted to talk about today is two of the games that have been a huge focus of the rumors of Nintendo Switch launch games and what games we'll be playing within the first, 6 months to year probably of the console's life. We're going to be centering this around The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild and this new 3D Mario game. So through the rumors circulating around these two games these last few weeks is basically which of these games is going to make it at launch, if either, or is it both? Basically, the gist is, for the most part, we've all been assuming that Breath of the Wild was going to be a launch game for the Nintendo Switch. We know that it's getting a double release, both on the Wii U, which it had been promised for the last 3.5 years, and now also for the Nintendo Switch. We know that there's a version of that game that Nintendo's releasing. We saw just a glimpse of it in that reveal trailer, all very exciting, can't wait to play that game. And when they confirmed that the Switch was still going to launch in March with that reveal trailer, a lot of us, myself included, felt like, oh, okay, that's also when Breath of the Wild is going to launch on the Switch, so we can all look forward to playing the brand new Zelda on our brand new Nintendo console. Totally makes sense. I thought that then, I kind of still think it now, but some of the recent rumors have been changing the way we're looking at that. The main thing that's happened with this rumor is that now reports are starting to say that potentially Zelda's going to be, not delayed, but Zelda is going to be releasing later than the launch of the Switch in March. Some of the reasons that are being stated are for localization purposes. That's probably the biggest rumor that I've heard. And as I discussed on a video about a week or so ago when that rumor kind of came out, I do sort of believe that there could be some truth to that. For some reason, it just rings true when I hear that the localization process for this Zelda, with how epic it is and how much dialogue and how much text and all these different things that they probably have to adjust for different languages, that it probably got away from Nintendo and it was a little bit more than they were preparing for or thinking it was going to be. Hence the fact that yet, for even the millionth time, Nintendo might have to say, oh, we wanted to release it at this time, but now we have to push it back. Bearing in mind that they never actually gave us a release date for the Nintendo Switch version of this game once it was delayed into 2017. They never actually gave us a date. So it's like a delay isn't really accurate. It's more, we just assumed it would be March, and now it's sounding like maybe that's not the case. It could be coming out in summer, maybe even holiday. Through that same rumor, some people started to say that potentially the new Mario game that was showcased at the Switch reveal, that trailer, might actually be the game that is making it to launch. So that Nintendo was able to say, well, we may not have our flagship Zelda game available at the launch of the console, but we will have our flagship Mario game available at the launch of the console. And that's great news. That's very exciting. I have feelings all around on this. The gist of my feelings are that if I had to pick which game was going to be available at launch and which game would launch later in the year, maybe even around holiday, you've heard me say this, is Zelda. I would rather have Breath of the Wild launch and have Mario come out later and be the promise of a big game for the summer or for the holiday for the Switch, because that stuff happens just months after it launches in March, and I think that Nintendo has a great opportunity there. Also, Zelda has been promised to us for 3.5 freaking years. Let that sink in. Literally, it was like, June 2014 when E3 happened that we first saw that Zelda game, and that's 3.5 years ago. That's insane. It's going to be 3.5 years by the time the game actually launches. And that's insane to think about. 3 years to wait for this game. It's Zelda, so we know delays are going to happen. It's going to take a while, but I would have thought the game was far closer to being completed. They first gave it a 2015 release date, and now it's going to be 2017 by the time it finally comes out, which is really crazy. So at that point, it's like, okay, you've got to get this game out on the Wii U for Wii U players. You've got to get it out on this, I almost said NX, on the Switch. We've been waiting for it. Just release this thing in March with the system like we've all been thinking. But at the same time, if the game's not ready, the game's not ready. Nintendo might have to release it later in the year. And at that point, it's like, okay, I would rather have Mario be a launch game if, in fact, we don't get Zelda. I love the idea of Mario being that holiday promise title for that first year of the Switch, but at the same time, if Nintendo was able and willing to give us this game at launch, that's great. It's kind of hard for me to believe that overall, because I just feel like it just would be surprising to me if that game is ready at the launch. I mean, they could have been making it since the day they wrapped up on 3D World, and to be fair, that's probably what they did. But I still feel like that feels like a really quick turnaround for a Mario game. Maybe they've been working on the game longer. Maybe they had two different teams working on Mario. One team making 3D World, which was a smaller, simpler, easier experience to complete, and then a different team that started on this new 3D Mario game well before 3D World shipped, therefore making it so that there's been more development time for this new Mario. Any of that stuff is possible. So that's why I can't rule out the possibility that this Mario game is ready. It certainly could be. It just doesn't feel right, though, for some reason. But you know what? If Nintendo launches with either of these games, I think that it's going to be successful. It's going to be exciting. It's going to make people pumped. They're going to sell extremely well. Mario certainly reaches more players overall. I think there's a broader reach. What I like about Zelda launching is I think that Zelda kind of speaks to the non-Nintendo gamer. To the Nintendo gamer, both Zelda and Mario speak volumes. They're huge. They're very even keel. But if you look at those franchises, to the hardcore gamer that's not a Nintendo gamer, not the everybody, because again, Mario speaks to everybody far more than Zelda does. But let's take everybody and reduce them to just kind of more the core gamer, the guys that play games like you and I do on all three consoles and on PCs, not the everyday people and the soccer moms and the families and stuff. That's where I think Zelda speaks more highly to, because it's that fantasy setting. It's got that more T for teen kind of epic scope sort of thing. Mario is great because both hardcore gamers and casual gamers can enjoy it. Zelda has it skews just a slight bit more in the hardcore gamer kind of category, and I like that about it. I actually like that. So I feel like whereas Mario could sell more, which is ultimately more important, and reach more gamers, I feel like Zelda could send a different kind of message to non-Nintendo gamers, like, oh man, this is a game that I would buy a Switch for. A lot of gamers who are gamers but not Nintendo gamers maybe wouldn't be swayed by a new Mario at launch, because even if they would enjoy a Mario game, it doesn't maybe grab some of those kinds of gamers, but a Zelda does. Again, for myself, it doesn't matter. I love everything Nintendo does. You probably do as well. Nintendo fans and Nintendo gamers love everything and would be fine with anything. But I like the idea of Nintendo being able to reach some of those other gamers and showing them why the Switch is going to be important. Luckily, I think the Switch is kind of already doing that. You know, it's creating this amazing excitement outside of the realm, the tiny box of just Nintendo fans again, and that really is exciting. So it'll probably be a hit no matter what. And again, Mario, if anything, will probably sell more than Zelda would, as crazy as that is to think about. It's true, Mario sells better, it just does. But I think there's just something about the messaging or the perception of how a Zelda launch game, especially this Breath of the Wild, which looks so incredible, I love the idea of kind of what that would do and the statement it would make to launch a brand new Nintendo console with Breath of the Wild. Even with the dual release on the Wii U, I feel like there's an awesome statement and a great perception that it can give the rest of the industry and the rest of the gamers when you launch with a game like that. You know, also, as pumped as I am for a new Mario, and as amazing as I know it's going to be, personally, I'm just more excited for Breath of the Wild than I am for any kind of new Mario experience. I just am. So, just speaking personally, I would rather play Zelda sooner. I would rather have Zelda to play in March and be able to look forward to that for my brand new Nintendo console. Reminds me of when Twilight Princess came out, one of the greatest times and the greatest first weeks of any console I've ever experienced in my life. And I've been gaming since the NES days, so I have some pretty good perspective on this. And I just loved having Twilight Princess to play this epic new Zelda adventure on my brand new Nintendo console. I would love to be able to do that again with Breath of the Wild. So at the end of the day, it's tough to say what is the most important. I think Zelda sends a great message to hardcore non-Nintendo gamers, but I think Mario reaches more people and could potentially sell more. So what's the best answer for Nintendo to launch with as far as these two games go? I have no idea. I just know what I would rather see for myself personally as a gamer and a Nintendo fan. I would rather have Zelda first, and I'd rather have Mario to look forward to over the summer or for holiday. But at the end of the day, if we get at least one of these games at launch, I really don't care. I'll be happy with whatever. I love Nintendo. I love the games they make. I know both of these games are going to be great. I know everything they're going to make and release for the Switch is going to be great. And I also, you know me, I love my third-party games, so I'm happy to be picking up Skyrim and I don't know, Call of Duty maybe, or whatever other great games come out that are hopefully really solid third-party iterations releasing on the Switch at launch, I'm happy to pick those up, even if for some weird reason both Zelda and Mario missed the Switch launch. However, that's not going to happen. We're for sure going to get one of these two games. So that's what's going on, guys. I wanted to have that quick conversation about Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, this brand new Mario game for the Switch, what has the highest chance of launching for the Switch, which has the highest chance of coming later, and just kind of what I overall want. So tell me what you guys think about these two titles and your massive hype and excitement for the Switch reveal and the Switch release in March below. Do you prefer Zelda? Do you prefer Mario? Do you think Zelda's more likely, or do you think Mario is more likely? Because those are different things. I'm not sure what I think is more likely. I just know what I want more, which happens to be Zelda. But man, it's freaking Nintendo. You never know with these guys. They keep us guessing to the very last second all the time. So it's hard to predict. In fact, it's damn near impossible to predict. We're just going to have to wait and see what Nintendo tells us come January 12th, 2017. So again, tell me what you think about these titles, the Switch launch, and what you think is going to happen below. Thanks, of course, as always, for tuning in, guys. This is Rob of Rule of Two Review, and I'll catch you guys next time on another video.